Welcome everybody to Choosing a Fresh Viewpoint teleclass. My name is Damon Azali Rojas, and I'm a facilitator. I'm very happy to be with you today. You've come to this class having two steps of the four-step expanding the view process. So the step one, just to remind folks, is identifying a new topic. Step two is discovering multiple viewpoints. This class today, we're going to be talking about the third step, which is choosing a fresh viewpoint, and step four, which will be on a subsequent teleclass, which is brainstorming possible actions. So just to get us started, I wanted to read two quotes. One is from your CFT textbook, and it says, "Our viewpoints are as close as our breath. We hold them as facts, yet they are not. These beliefs affect how we see and interact with the world and how the world interacts with us." And then the second quote by Gina Sensose was, "The root cause of our suffering, which is often in our thinking, stems from unconscious assumptions or beliefs." So what's exciting about this particular pathway is when we help our clients recognize they're in a current viewpoint, and that current viewpoint is just one way of looking at their situation. It allows them to be liberated from kind of some blocks and limiting beliefs. So that's what this viewpoint is, or what this teleclass is about, this pathway is about. So today we're going to explore with some fun, some fresh viewpoints, and then we're going to practice. And by the end of the call, we want you to be able to reframe, embody, and increase your understanding of another perspective. We also want you to communicate broader perspectives and inspire a commitment to shift viewpoints and find new possibilities for action. So just want to name who's on the call, and many of you can see each other. So we have Jody, Susan, Meredith, Kate, Sophia, Nancy, Jillian, Lisa, Sheila, Michael. Nice haircut, June. Hi, June. Tara, Cole, and Jackie's going to be helping us. I believe, oh, there's another page. Agnes, Lauren, Shipra, and then there's a phone number, 917 phone number. So welcome all of you to the class today. Expanding the View Pathway is, I think, the most fun for me. And the reason why is because you get to play, you get to be creative. A lot of times what I like to do is, if I know that my client from the intake documents is a musician, then some of the pathways that we can play with are different musicians. It could be like Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, Sade kind of viewpoint. Or if they're artists, you can talk about, Monet and Picasso and whatnot. So it gives a sense of really of lightness and of play. And I think that that's the one that the piece that I want you to hold as we go through this class today, because that playful energy allows one to break up the kind of stuck viewpoint that folks might have. So we're going to start with a discussion, and the question quite simply is, how do we help clients choose and embody a fresh viewpoint? So how do we help clients choose and embody a fresh viewpoint? And if you would like to participate, then please raise your hand, and Jackie will help unmute you.
And just to be sure everyone knows how to raise your hand, the list of participants on the right should have a raise hand button right underneath, and you can raise your hand. If you can't find the participants, it's on that black bar on the bottom, participants, and you click it and it comes up on the right. Check.
Thank you, Jackie. It's helpful for me too. All right, Meredith. How do you help clients choose and embody a fresh viewpoint?
Touch point. not a touch point, I'm sorry, a viewpoint, and then really get them into experiencing the moment of like, how does this resonate in your body? Where do you feel it? So really using experiencing the moment and some body work to embody and what's going on with whatever their viewpoint is in a real physical way.
Yes. The beautiful part about as you get more experienced, you tend to have these pathways that blend. So bringing in kind of the experiencing the moment really helps people really get into it instead of just kind of look at it from their original viewpoint, being like, oh, okay, that's kind of a whack viewpoint. So yeah, thank you very much. Other ideas how to choose and embody a fresh viewpoint? Please raise your hand. Jillian, your mic is open. We can't hear you though. I hear your mouth. Oh.
Yeah, no, this is Jackie. I'm not even seeing an unmute button for Jillian. I'm sorry. Are you seeing your own, Jillian?
Perhaps you can type into the chat and we'll look at it that way, Jillian. And let's go to Jody.
So depending on, I want to know what the underlying meaning is of the statement and what need is missing, why, or what are they trying to get at underneath that. And so I'll use needs and values a lot
Okay.
to pair it with viewpoints and try to have them, and a little cognitive restructuring and positive stuff to just get them to see what are options and other possibilities that could be. And sometimes, I mean, opens a can of worms, because from this you can then say, okay, well, what part of, you can use parts work with this, embracing the shadow, where is this coming from? I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful topic.
So Jody, you're one of those people who are the new coaching for transformation participants are saying, what, embracing the shadow? We haven't got to that yet. They keep on talking about that pathway. But yes,
parts work.
Yes. No, I again, using the other pathways to leverage for somebody really to get into how they feel or potential different viewpoints is really, really great. Other folks, and I see Jillian. Let me read Jillian's chat. Jillian says, I really love using the viewpoint grid. Neutralizing the issue and having folks step into various real and crazy viewpoints. Would love thoughts from folks about how to neutralize the topic. Who has a trick for that? And actually, Jillian, we're actually going to practice that right after this. So perfect. Sheila. Ooh. Okay, there you go.
Hi. Yeah, what comes to mind is actually a session where I was coached recently, and what really supported me as the client was I could tell that the coach was not really judgmental at all, so I could just be like, this is what I'm feel like, this is the belief, and there was so much space that I felt like there was so much spaciousness in the coaching that there was room to move and like step out and not feel like I was judging myself or like attached to any particular point of view.
So if you would just kind of describe the essence of your coach when they were bringing you through this, what would be a word or phrase you would use?
Non-judgmental spaciousness.
Non-judgmental spaciousness, yeah. So a lot of is how you as the coach show up. If you're kind of bummed out and are bought into their disempowering viewpoint, y'all just have a little coffee session being bummed out. But if you step into your coach's stance and you think about, I mean, if we hint to kind of you have a critical mass of self, your client then can pattern match to you, and then there's more spaciousness. So thank you, Sheila, for that. And let's go to Susan.
Yeah, what I've usually used is asking the client to, assuming we've already explored different perspectives, ask the client what feels right to them. And I guess something that I am thinking about now, which I haven't actually used that language with the client, is asking them to think about the difference between what they would choose if they were thinking, what they would choose if they were feeling, and what they would choose if they were knowing, right? So maybe I would change that language to what do you know is the right choice for you? Or what do you know is a fresh viewpoint that you want to try now?
Nice. Yeah. I mean, the beautiful part about this is just you can paint it with anything, right? It could be about a mind, body, spirit piece. It could be even, it's like, you know, if someone is a religious studies major, what would be the Buddhist viewpoint of this? What would be the Confucian? What would be the traditional African viewpoint of this? So really, I really like that. I'm gonna re-listen to this recording and I'm gonna write this down, Susan. I'm gonna try it out. Cool. Let's get. Is there one more person that wants to jump in? If not, we can move on. Okay. Jody.
Hey, I look for their passion and for where the energy is coming from, and ask questions around that, like what's in their heart, and about the viewpoint and
Yeah, I mean, that's, in all coaching, it's this feeling of how do you follow the energy of the client, and particularly here, and mostly just to remind folks, what we want to do is to really have more of the expansive viewpoints for folks to choose from. If there continue to be like 5 or 6 disempowering viewpoints, it's like you want to go the opposite way of that. So cool. So thank you very much for that, and let's kind of move on to the next section here. And what we want to do is practice with exploring a fresh viewpoint. So Jillian, this kind of gets to the piece around neutralizing. So what I want to invite everybody to do is to get in touch with a disempowering viewpoint that you feel absolutely certain about. Here's a couple examples. I'll never be good at math or managing money. Another one could be, I'm heartbroken about the state of the world and I can barely leave my home because I'm so worried. 2 more, I got 2 more for you. I will always struggle with relationships. And the last one I have here is, in order to move ahead in my company, I have to leave my culture at the door. Okay, so those are some examples of a disempowering viewpoint, some of which I've heard very recently, actually. So I want to give everybody about 30 seconds to get in touch with that disempowering viewpoint. And this is what we're going to do after that. We're going to have a couple people, we're going to have one at a time, a couple people share. Then we're going to get a practice on naming the neutral topic. And then we're going to brainstorm some alternative viewpoints. Okay? So we'll give you about 30 seconds to get in touch with that disempowering viewpoint. And then we'll be right back. I love it. Some people, it looks like they're thinking hard on trying to get a disempowering viewpoint. They've gotten so much coaching lately. It's hard. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and Lauren, I see that you have your hand up.
Yeah. Hi, I was not responding to the question, but letting you know that in order to live into this class and a subsequent commitment, I'm going to be transitioning from one venue to another, so I won't really be able to talk much during the call.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so who would like to share a disempowering viewpoint that they have that we can play with? And please write down your disempowering viewpoint. We're going to come back to it at the end of the class. It'd be great to hear sort of some folks that we haven't heard from before. Welcome their voice in the room. Okay, all right. Let's go with Tara. Tara, or is it Tara?
Yeah, the second way, Tara.
Tara, okay. Cool. So Tara, what's your disempowering viewpoint that we want to play with here?
The one that has me by the throat for the past like few months is I'm just always going to be a fearful parent.
Always going to be a careful, you said?
Fearful. Like
fearful parent.
Parent, yes.
Okay. So let's keep Tara on the mic, and then who has an idea to brainstorm a neutral topic from I'm always going to be a fearful parent viewpoint? If you can raise your hand. Just play with it. Raise your hand, throw it out. All right, let's go to Sheila. What's the neutral topic you think?
Maybe parenting.
So that's either in parenting. Other folks have another idea? Go to Cole. Man, Cole, what's your idea about a topic? Oh, Cole got. I think Jack and I are both unmuting you at the same time. I'll leave it to you, Jackie. I'll get out of your space. Cole, can we hear you now?
Yeah, you're open. Cole, you're open.
Okay. Don't hear Cole. So how about let's go for Meredith and then Jody, and then we'll brainstorm some viewpoints. So Meredith.
I don't know, maybe something like how I am as a parent with how I am as a parent with my children with bad things that could happen.
So my invitation is to actually cut it off in the beginning, how I am as a parent.
How I am as a parent.
Because part of it is like when you get to the bad things that happen, it's not necessarily a disempowering viewpoint, but it's already getting a little bit into like, that's the feeling I get when I think about my kids. I'm like, yeah. So I think the shorter the one, it's also easier to hold. So let's see, Jody.
I get curious and I start asking questions about what made her feel that way.
Okay.
So I jumped right in because there's an opening.
Okay, so but if you were going to pull out a neutral topic from that, what would it be?
It would be her values. It would be again about parenting.
Okay. So parenting, how I am as a parenting style, approach to parenting, all those could be neutral topics. And I would just ask the client, hey, what one feels best for you. So now let's just brainstorm some. So we have the first viewpoint. Sometimes you want to have people step into it. Sometimes they're so live it every day that they don't need to step into it. So I'm always going to be here for parents. What are some other viewpoints? Just kind of brainstorm, and it can be as wacky as you want. Let's go with Susan.
I would go with, I will be a joyful parent.
Okay, great. And then let's go to Jillian, and let's see if your mic works. Jillian, your mic work? It feels like there's a little bit of sound coming. Oh,
hello.
Speak again, Jillian. There we go. Success.
Okay, another viewpoint, crazy viewpoint. I love to let my kid take risks as a parent.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Any other ones? Something. An invitation to pick your favorite hobby as the coach. You as the coach, pick your favorite hobby and pull out a viewpoint from that. Let's go with Michael.
I had something before you went with the hobby.
Oh, go with where the energy is.
Mine was the viewpoint is I'm the best parent around.
Yeah.
Nice. Ooh, need some of that over here in Los Angeles. Cool.
Can I give one too? Yeah.
Sure.
I feel so safe being a parent in today's world. I feel so safe and held being a parent in today's world.
I don't even know if you can get more empowering than that. Example of self-coaching, expanding the view. Sarah, all right. Cool. Okay, let's see. Where are we at with time? I think we have time for another example. So Tara, thank you for your example. Does anybody else want to offer a viewpoint, a disempowering viewpoint? So we're gonna restart it here. And Meredith, you seem to be the one raising your hand. So what's your disempowering viewpoint?
Mine was actually an empowering viewpoint, so I lowered my hand, but I'll offer the empowering one I have. It was, my children have
okay, and then
my children have the opportunity to learn and grow from every life experience.
Okay, great. So since you're, that's perfect. That's perfect. I was about to call on you for the next one, but I see that Sophia is raising Sophia's hand. So thank you, Meredith. And Sophia, we'll hear from you. We're going to start over. What was your disempowering viewpoint that you came up with?
My disempowering viewpoint was that I will always struggle financially.
Okay. Ooh, really touching that beginning coach thing that we all have. Yeah. So what's the neutral viewpoint? Give some examples. I will always struggle financially is the disempowering one. And raise your hand if you have an idea about what a neutral topic would be. Lisa.
Well, finances or security was the other one.
Security. Okay. Cool. Michael, what about you?
Managing money.
Managing money. Jillian. Okay. Try again, Jillian.
my financial self.
Great. All those work. Financial stability or sustainability also works. Very good on the neutral topic. So let's do, say, 3 more on what would be alternative viewpoints, fresh viewpoints that we can take, that Sophia can take. Get crazy, people. Sheila, I'm waiting.
I'm not sure if this is
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's too crazy, but I'm always supported.
Not crazy, but empowering. Thank you. All right. McKay, June, what do you have for us?
I am the richest person in the world who is a part of the 1%.
Uh-oh, let's go. All right, and then let's hear from Susan and then Tara, and then we'll move on.
I don't have to work so hard.
Okay, cool. Tara, what about you?
I had a metaphor, like I had this image of, so I'm not 100% sure on this image. So a tsunami, like the water pulls out before it comes back in. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that image. I'm getting an image of the tide pulling out before the big wave comes in. But okay. I don't think, you know what I'm talking? I'm not.
So you don't even have to put that in words. You can just say tsunami. It could be a metaphor. It could be a metaphor. It could be a song. It could be a color. So yeah, if that's coming up, if it's coming up from the coach, you can kind of just say, hey, what would a tsunami look like in terms of this? Or what would kind of the ebb and flow, the ocean viewpoint be? And then let the client say, oh, I like that or not, right? Cool. All right. So what we're here now is we're going to, I'm going to do a demo. And if the heavens shine, we'll get through all 4 steps so you can see it move. And what I'm looking for is a volunteer, and I'm looking for a volunteer that has a clear audio so that we can make sure that we hear every word and don't miss anything. So I'm wondering, you can talk about the disempowering viewpoint that you had in the beginning, or you can come up with something else. But we want to do expanding the view pathway on a particular viewpoint around a topic. So who wants to volunteer? So I see Jillian's hand, but Jillian, your audio is a little funky. So I want to see if there's anyone else who would want to. Pulling up my little timer here so I know how much time that I have. Okay, so I have Tara, Jody. Let's get one more, and then we'll check in with the intuition and see which one. And Nancy. Let's go with Nancy.
Oh.
Jody and Tara, love you. Let's just go for my intuition saying Nancy has something juicy. All right, let's see if I can actually get you on the this big face. Nancy.
Nancy's unmuted. Once she speaks, she should come on the screen.
Okay. All right, let's mute everybody else. And Nancy.
Hi.
Hi. How are you today? Oh, wait. Can't hear her yet.
Myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Hi, Damon. I just unmuted myself.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. So Nancy, before we start, is there any requests that you have for me as your demo coach, or from folks who are on the call with us?
I request that we really go crazy. That just
Go crazy.
all doors and windows. That'd feel really good.
I love it. Okay. So what would you want coaching on today?
Well, the disempowering notion that came to me immediately, which I didn't think I was thinking about, but apparently I am, is that I'm meant to be alone. I'm always going to be alone in my life.
Okay. I'm meant to be alone.
So I would love to just
all right,
energy inside.
So what would be the neutral topic here? If we pull back that viewpoint, what would be kind of what we would put in our center of our possibility tic-tac-toe Brady Bunch grid?
Well, I have lots of friends. People are lovely, but I always seem to have difficulty with relationships, romantic relationships. So maybe I would say that, romantic relationships.
Okay, I'm going to put that there, romantic relationships. All right. So the actual viewpoint that you're in now, that you're saying is, I'm meant to be alone. How in touch with that viewpoint are you now? Actually, let's even do this. Let's actually have you maybe stand up. I know to get you in the video, you might have to stand up and go like to this side or this side, but let's have you get into a different position, even if it's and just fully embody that viewpoint of, I'm meant to be alone. The creator, my ancestors just decided that that's what it is. So really get that into your body.
Yeah, so actually, I don't think you would see it on the thing, but I would crouch down and I would get really small, I think.
Okay.
I would cover my head. I would crouch all in like a turtle in a shell, I think is how it feels.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's have you let's actually have you shake off that viewpoint. So kind of just breathe that viewpoint out so that you can get out of your shell. And let's brainstorm another viewpoint. What's another viewpoint that is speaking to you in your Wonder Woman pose? Because I see you're kind of Wonder Woman. Is it a Wonder Woman viewpoint, or is it another one?
Well, let's say it is. Actually, I was feeling the word abundance. So I was kind of excited about the possibility of all sorts of people flowing through my life. So
So when you get into this feeling of abundance, I want to invite you to kind of step into it, really feel it.
Okay, well, that feels like this. I don't
that
know
feels
how
like
much,
this.
but that feels like open arms.
Open and ready to receive.
Yeah, and my head is up now, and I'm standing, and I'm open. My heart is open. My arms are open.
Okay.
That feels nice.
Where do you feel it in your body? What place has a different tingling tone to it?
Well, it's all through my core here. I feel an excitement, and I feel a warmth all through here. all through
Okay.
my middle. Yeah.
Okay. So if we put a little microphone, wait, what's this?
Oh, I was just going to say I feel myself smiling too, which is nice.
Okay. So if we put a microphone either to your smile or to the warmth in your core, what wisdom would it share with you in the microphone?
Oh, well, the first thing that comes up is this is a moment. This isn't a lifetime. This is
Okay.
just a,
So it's temporary.
yeah.
Anything else to feel or experience in this viewpoint before we try on something else?
Well, there's a feeling of excitement and worthiness. Like there's just like, why not? It's just a good feeling of why. Well, why not? You just haven't, it's like I've carried it around for so long, I haven't even like aired it out or thought about anything else. Like laundry in a gym bag, you know, I haven't even taken it out to see what's in there. So that's giving me a chance to sort of do that.
Yeah, I already see it in your face. There's
Yeah.
there's a different energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like this one, sounds like.
Yeah, I do.
Cool. Are you ready to try on another one?
Sure.
Okay. So why don't you breathe out abundance, knowing that it's still accessible when you want it. I have a thought. You know how, in movies there's like the main character, a lot of times there's like a theme song. Like when they're walking and they're doing their strut, there's a theme song. So what would be your theme song in relation to romantic relationships?
So yeah, I love Gypsy Kings. I don't know if you know the Gypsy Kings, but
I do know Gypsy Kings, yes.
so it feels like something that's like that warm, that rhythmic, that hot. Like it feels like movement music, dance music. It's no lyrics maybe, but it's definitely like all good. Like end to end feels good.
So it's kind of, there's a percussiveness to it. It's just kind of
the beat
on the beach, taking off that wrap, asking for the extra drink.
Yeah,
What do you get in touch with from the Gypsy Kings viewpoint?
Well, it feels really sexy actually. It feels it feels like outside is the music, but also inside is the music. That feels like the music is like an expression of me as I'm in the world around people. Like exuding that feeling, yeah.
So how does this feeling of sexiness, how does that give another flavor to this viewpoint?
Well, I feel a little teary now.
Okay.
A little teary. Because that part I think has been quiet for a while. Feeling sexy or thinking about feeling sexy has been quiet for a little while. And so I miss it. I think this is how I feel. I miss it.
So welcoming that sexiness back and kind of applying it, like how do we deepen the feeling of this so you can really just know what this viewpoint is about?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is like things that I would do for myself that would be like pampering, like treats, like things I don't pay too much attention to right now, like a pretty top or going to a certain place, maybe that, with carrying these things with me instead of leaving them home and just going out into the world. So,
Okay.
I don't know.
This sounds like a fun viewpoint, Nancy. Cool. So, are you ready to try on another viewpoint so we can have a couple to choose from? Okay.
Okay.
So shake off, maybe dance off the Gypsy King's sexy sex viewpoint.
That off. Okay.
Okay. What's another one? What's another one that based on whatever kind of thought that pops into your head first, that's exciting and empowering and passionate, and what viewpoint would you make out of that?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is there's somebody out there looking for me.
Just when you this is what I saw first. It's like, no, there's somebody looking for me, but not available. No, what I saw first, Nancy, when you were thinking, you were like this.
Yeah.
And it made me thinking, like, is it a God viewpoint? It's like a, praying viewpoint. So without all that in the mix, name a viewpoint you want to try on.
What was the first one that we did, Damon?
You know what, Nancy? I know we did one, the first one, but I didn't write it down. I was so in the ones that I remember, the Abundance one and the Gypsy Kings one.
Oh, yeah.
And it was about romantic relationship was the neutral topic.
Let's see. Okay,
I Meant to Be Alone might be the first one. That was the disempowering one.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to play with the Gypsy Kings one, only because I wouldn't ordinarily do that. So I would love to see what that's about.
Okay, so we can go there, and I'm just wondering if there was another fresh viewpoint you wanted to play with.
What? Well,
I had a feeling about the Gypsy Kings. But I wanted to see if there's another one that you wanted to play with.
I think the new one that you saw, this really was like listening for what's meant for me. So, and that's when I felt
your soulmate, your destiny. Okay. So how would you say that? Is like there's a soulmate there? It's about to come around the corner.
Yeah, it feels like this is the quiet time, and then there will be a together time. Like where the other one was abundance, this one feels like accept. Right now, what is, know what's coming.
Accept, and write this down so I don't forget here. Accept.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just so into so accept right now, and then know what's coming. Know it's coming.
Yeah.
So I saw you sit down. You were standing for the rest of them, and you just kind of sit down. What's the sitting down about?
I felt a little closer to you sitting.
Okay.
I felt distant when I was standing, and I wanted to be closer. And I sat down.
Okay, cool. So from this kind of acceptance viewpoint, preparing for spring and the summer to blossom, what do you feel in your body, your energy?
I love that you said that. That feels so good. Like I feel my shoulders loosening. I feel like, so this is the fall and the winter of the year. And, we go a little bit into hibernation, and then that notion of the spring and the summer and the Gypsy Kings and the warmth and it almost kind of combines to be an understanding of this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Nancy,
and something.
I hope you have some frequent flyer miles. Because I feel like it'll be a party coming up in March and April. So what else from this kind of acceptance about to move into the hibernation, moving into new growth? What other information, what other data are you getting?
I feel peaceful that I said that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel out of alignment with exactly what is now, where the other perspectives felt more like I was longing for something. This perspective, I sat down too, Damon, was I just sort of felt settled with accepting this time, celebrating this time, and knowing that the seasons change.
Uh-huh.
I think I forgot that.
You're kind of in the moment, in the now, as opposed to worrying about the future or bringing back the past. It's just like, here I am, waiting for what's to come.
Yeah, and awakening some of those parts too. Like, it doesn't mean that everything has, you know, for me, now that we've talked about, you know, you want to be warm in the winter too. It's not like you're just going to allow things to be cold for months.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
find warm as you wait for the spring. So I think that that's what that feels like to me. I want to still find warmth and know that spring is coming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. So is the feeling it's kind of like the preparation? Is the preparation like going shopping for some sexy lingerie?
It's funny because I was. It was definitely the thought of going through my closet. Definitely came to my mind.
Okay.
That was sort of there, just to see, you know, what's, because I have workwear, but I don't have evening stuff for fun, and just to allow myself to think of myself that way and get excited about that.
So I want to ask for another viewpoint, and then we'll figure out which one you want to try on. And the viewpoint I want to ask for is your future self viewpoint. So that future self, when you have your romantic partner that totally loves everything about you, loves your strengths and your challenges, loves the sexy G-string lingerie and the granny panties that have the holes in it.
What do you see from there,
No, this is coming from my best friend. My best friend, his favorite underwear of his wife are the ones that have the little hole like around the elastic. He always talks about them. I mean, he doesn't always. Okay, let best friend go. And his wife's underwear. Okay. So thinking about the future self, you are with the person that is meant for you, and you're joyful, you're happy, you're dancing to Gypsy Kings on the beach in the summer. So can I invite you to step into that viewpoint?
Yeah.
What happened there? There was something.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think I thought it might be somebody I already knew, but now I'm starting to feel like.
So Nancy, what I want you to do, I want to just invite you to just whatever happened with that energy, just to be with it. You don't have to talk right now. When you want to say something, you can bring it, but I want you to just feel whatever that magic was.
It's just got a couple different little parts in there. One is that beautiful image of, you know, the future self and on the beach and who's there with me. I saw someone I know that I love that it's not working out. So that made me sad. And then another little part was like an open invitation for something new. And so I was sort of holding both of those things.
Okay.
Self, again, something I hadn't unpacked or even thought of, somebody completely new.
Okay. Okay. So what else will help you, if anything, deepen this just feeling so you can get it in your body? Or, and you could, yeah.
Yeah, it's like caught in my throat right now, actually.
It's caught in your throat.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think about the new person,
Yeah.
I think about that that excitement that you know you're going to see them in 2 days, and you're just thinking about, okay, how is it going to be? Where should we go? What kind of scent should I wear? And it's just kind of like there's this energy that's occupying your mind that feels super exciting, like buzzing. I mean, even mine. I mean, it's just like sometimes you think about them and then you just get this warm feeling in your heart and you're like, whoo, waiting as you go to open the door to see them. And it's like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, there's like, again, like that, Damon, it feels like spring again, like a whole new blossoming of something I hadn't even noticed or thought of. So there's a little bit of sparkle and excitement around the edges of thinking about such a new, it's been a long time, long time, many, many years since opening the door and starting something new. So that feels really sweet.
Nancy, after 12 years of marriage, I'm going to live vicariously through you. It's going to be awesome. We got to keep in contact. So it sounds like we have enough viewpoints, unless something's coming out of you and saying, hey, here's another viewpoint, listen to me. Is there one of those? Or you think you're good for now?
Well, I'll just say that there's still that viewpoint that maybe my relationship is with life and not with a single partner. That's still possible too. Like, yeah.
Whoa!
Sorry.
No! Sorry. That was, you know, like the dramatic blown back in the movie effects. So your relationship is with life, not with a partner.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Well, that's still with me. Like this time, this incubating time, this solitary time, this independent time has a richness and a meaning to it also. And so self might also be this, exploring the world and not necessarily attaching to any one at all.
The thing that's coming up for me from this viewpoint, which you can see if it resonates or not, is really where you were before was looking at what's coming, what I don't have, but this feels like it's actually kind of falling in love with yourself again.
Mm.
How does that resonate or not resonate?
Yeah, it feels like radical acceptance, like radical just love of exactly this moment, rather than on the edges wishing for something else. Just like total love right now, all of it, everything.
Cool. All right. Any more from this viewpoint that you wanna, the radical acceptance viewpoint? Any more information, a metaphor, a song that mean, and we got the Gypsy Kings. I don't know if there's another.
All right. Well, I feel like sort of like a pan flute or like a simple like tune that you would hear in meditation or in a spa or something. Just a real simple one note beauty to exactly what is. That's sort of the soundtrack for this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna invite you to step out of all viewpoints so you can look at them.
Okay.
Shake them off, breathe them out, however you need to do. Stretch out. So here are some that I wrote. I'm not sure that I got them all. I got the acceptance, knowing that something's coming, which is the peaceful feeling. I got the abundance, which is that what's happening now is temporary, but there's excitement and worthiness. I got the future self, about a new person coming into your life. Got the radical acceptance one, where we just were in, that had the pan flute, simple single notes. And I got the Gypsy Kings sexy one, all with the neutral topic of romantic relationships. So my question to you is, what one do you want to choose and play with, experiment with?
I keep thinking about the word abundance, and I guess because that one's not as clear to me, I'm interested in that. I'm wondering about that, picking up my head and just allowing myself to see everything around me differently. Instantly, right now. I think that one feels like I'd like to sort of like open that up and go there a little bit.
Okay, cool. So how about you step into the abundance viewpoint, fully embody it?
Okay, I'm gonna stand again.
Okay.
Abundance feels good already. Okay, so abundance is like all around, all over, everywhere, up, down, everywhere.
What is the what's the color of the energy that you just spread, that was just spread around your room?
Yeah. Actually, the first thing that came to me was like I could have 360 vision. That's the way it felt. Like my eyes could go everywhere around, see every angle, 360 degrees around. And the colors would be like confetti, all colors. All around. Like just Technicolor world where maybe before it was sort of black and white, I wasn't really even awake or putting on the glasses to see. Now, abundance is all of that.
So you're aware of everything around you, and you're actually seeing things that you normally wouldn't see, colors that you normally wouldn't see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What else? What other information is coming to you? Let's say through your body. Like what information is coming to you that can deepen this, getting really anchored into this viewpoint of abundance?
Well, I feel like I'm out in a crowd in a good way. Like I feel like I'm out in the midst of just people moving. Like I don't feel alone in my office right now. I feel like I'm just completely surrounded with people, like at a festival or in the airport, or I don't know where. Doesn't matter. I'm not thinking about where, but just already I'm not alone. And I'm just kind of like picking up my feet and going with the flow of everybody moving.
Okay.
Carried on that energy of that abundance of people all around that maybe I hadn't noticed or paid attention to before.
So funny when you said festival, I thought of you, and I know they kind of sometimes don't do this anymore, but you know, like 10, 15 years ago, when then like you're crowd surfing
Yeah.
And they pick you up and you're like, ah.
Yeah, I love that. I thought that too, like being just carried up and over. I never did that, but you know, that's what it feels like, is just supported and abundant. Like, yeah. People I might not even know, but still feeling connected. Lifted.
Well, the feeling that's transferring across the satellite or however the image is going back and forth, there's this feeling that you are completely cared for and carried. And even though you might not know it, there's a team of beings that are just looking out for you. And they're just basically clearing out things, cultivating things so that when the time is right, you will have an abundant crop.
Yeah. If it's like, okay, so here it was already, but now it's like I'm awake.
You're woke.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that laugh about, Nancy?
Well, it's funny. I mean, it just feels like a relief. It feels like ease. It feels like grateful. It feels like, gee, it's here already. And then I laugh because, like, well, you know that, but I didn't own that knowing. I was just in the sad moment when you invited us to do the disempowering thing.
So Nancy, then let's see, what is the thing that can actually anchor you into this abundant viewpoint so that if something else kind of knocks you off the screen, you could come right back to it? I like that.
Well, okay, so I feel like I see my calendar, and like if I invite more social things into my calendar without so much agenda, then that'll feel like sort of the team is gathering, you know.
So is your calendar the thing that's going to anchor you? Or is that kind of a action step? I don't have an opinion on either one, just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I saw my calendar and I saw, you know, sets of people that I'm coming to know, and just the desire
So
to.
Nancy, I want to invite you to close your eyes and then come up. You're not looking at any physical thing in your room. When you talk about this idea of abundance in your life, this viewpoint, what is the thing that comes to your mind that truly represents that inside and out? Object, metaphor, song, dance, piece of art, animal, chemical on the periodic table.
Yeah, well, I keep seeing myself with people, like in art galleries and at music events.
Okay.
And I haven't done either of those things in a long time, actually. But it just feels like to step into the world with people and just embrace that, just be in that moment.
So to anchor, I want to, if you don't need this, then tell me you don't need it. But I'm wondering, is there a picture, is there, you know, if it's art gallery, is there a particular picture that speaks to you that you once were in art gallery and you felt this energy, or a picture of a crowd like Woodstock or something? I don't know about Woodstock, but that speaks to you, that can, like, you can just look at it, that brings you back to that feeling. And I don't want to force it. If it's not that, if it's just really that feeling about being with a crowd, then
Well, yeah, it kind of feels like the Philadelphia Art Museum with a bunch of friends, just being and seeing everything, the objects, the people, the passersby, the parking, the everything, the 360 view of
Okay.
just being in that place with people rather than, sitting here alone a lot.
Okay. Okay. So let's move. We got that as an anchor. What is something that you want to do from this viewpoint? Sounds like a winner.
Well, well, I see like my living room and my kitchen and my home, and I feel like I just want to have people over and cook. Is the first thing that came to mind. I just want to have people over for like a Sunday brunch or just like, I don't know, it doesn't even matter what, just cook and have people over and just have that warm gathering in a space that has become really quiet, my house.
Okay. So, Sunday brunch, you said.
Yeah, something like that. Like, cook and have
Okay.
people come out and stay.
So I challenge you to invite people over this Sunday for brunch.
Yeah. I could do that this week, actually.
Okay, what do you make? Tell me one thing you're gonna make.
Oh, I have a recipe for an oatmeal bake with blueberries and cinnamon and yummy that was made for us that we've been wanting to have, and I just want to make that. And
Okay.
yeah.
And build the rest around it. Okay.
Yeah, and can I just tell you, Damon, I hear the Gypsy Kings music again in my head now.
Okay. And is that a viewpoint that you want to combine, or you just want to have Gypsy Kings on Sunday for brunch?
Well, it just came back, so it's almost like the warmth of that, the vitality of that, the pureness of that beat, that music, that everything feels like it goes with that kind of a scene, that sort of love and gathering and abundance. It's all coming together, it feels like.
Okay. So my request challenge, my request is that you hold the abundance viewpoint hybridized with the Gypsy Kings and have that as you plan your meal, as you invite people, and as you kind of move through that day, so that you can kind of feel both of those embodied. And before you even start, like while you're cooking, Gypsy Kings are on.
Yeah.
So that it just can fully feel. And then what my request is then that you take a picture. And I know on iPhones you can kind of do the panoramic, which kind of simulates the 360 degree.
Yeah.
That you take that picture and then you send it to me, so I can feel some of the Spanish flavor.
I would love to. I would love that.
Great. Cool. Nancy, anything else before we open it back up to the rest of the people who have been looking at us?
I know at one point I realized, okay, we're recording all this. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, for
like
posterity.
The one thing that I noticed is just like, so we said it was romantic relationship was the heart of it, but I love how that expanded to include so much more than the guy, because I believe that. And so I love that it naturally just went to all kinds of love and all kinds of beautiful relationships. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. And the guy could still be in there, but
yeah,
that's not, it's not just limited to that. There's love to self, love to friends, love to random people in a crowd. So yeah. So thank you so much, Nancy, for
thank you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So Well, let's debrief that. Want to hear from folks. What did you learn from this demo? And I'll actually throw 2 questions out. I'm one of those people who throw out 2 questions. What would you do differently? I saw that there's a bunch of chats, which I wasn't paying attention to while I was coaching, but I can look through those. But if you want to say those aloud, that'll be great too. So what did you learn from the demo? Or what would you do differently? You can raise your hand and Jackie will unmute you. Wow, there's a lot of so we're going to have Sheila, and I'm just going to read a couple here. So Jody's saying, I'm lovable, armor on shirt, has love to give, show us sexy. Jillian says, how would you support a client if they express fear in stepping into a world of hopeful future self-viewpoint? Yeah, it's interesting. Let me just say something on that. We just taught in the last weekend, we did our in-person in LA, and there was a piece around kind of future self-visualization. And what I've actually found out is it's really good to do that when people are grounded, kind of with self-energy, are well-rested, are not tired, and are a good point, because that's when you get kind of the future self that's expansive. But what I felt with Nancy, after there was the first viewpoint, which was disempowering, but everything else was expansive, and I felt the energy there. So that's why it was just kind of felt like a different piece to continue to move. So Sheila.
Yeah. Thank you both. That was, I feel like there was so much wisdom there for me personally, and I just really appreciated the honesty and the authenticity. And what really stood out to me was like, this was really fun, and it was playful around a topic that you could feel really constricted around. And there was a lot of flow, and it felt like a dance. And I just appreciated that like flexibility, and it did feel like there was room for everything within the space of exploration. So I just, I just wanted to name that.
Cool. And Sheila, anything else that you thought, if you were my shoes, that you would do differently, or something that came up for you that spoke to your intuition?
Well, I don't know that I would have done it differently. I guess it's like a question mark I'll have to play with in terms of like, the fluidity between the viewpoints, or like stepping in and staying like in each one, like either longer or in a more boxed way. So I don't know that there's like a right answer. Maybe it just depends on the client and my flow as a coach, because I kind of like that there was a flow, but that's the only thing that might pop to mind, is being a little more like, we're in this viewpoint, we're in that viewpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I know when I was going through a CFT, I had my, my little grid, and I was like, okay, Nancy, abundance, is it, what square is it in? It was very rigid. And then, we do it in person, we do it in a way where we actually put tape for the little box, and we have them move to a different one. And a lot of that is not necessary. It's really, the key is, can the client actually step into a new viewpoint, particularly from a disempowering one. So if the disempowering one is lingering, that's when I would be more boxy and really try to get people to step into another one. But if it's a positive viewpoint, like the Gypsy Kings, lingering, it's all good. Because I find in general, most of the time at the end, it's a hybridized viewpoint. It's like, I want some of this, and some of this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and if I could just add, what I love about that, knowing myself, is that means like my own thinking has its own flow, so it just doesn't require that I like hold myself rigidly. Like I can follow my own energy and process of like evolution through the viewpoints. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The key is really being there with the client and following the energy. And I think once you do that, even if you shift the steps, really the main step on this one is identifying the neutral viewpoint. Because if you don't have a neutral viewpoint, everything is skewed in a particular direction. So once you do that, you just kind of just go with the flow. So I see a bunch of hands here. Let's go. I saw Meredith. Meredith's hand was up for a while. So Meredith, what did you learn? What other things pulled you?
Thank you to you both, and hi Nancy. She was in my cohort, so it's wonderful to be with you here. I really had this takeaway. I think what I was struggling with as a coach on this viewpoint is I would create all of these like micro viewpoints. I loved how like you stayed with abundance, and there was things that came out of that, like open and ready to receive. This is temporary. I'm excited about the possibilities. I would create those as like separate little viewpoints, but you kind of package them into all of these views that come with abundance. And that was really helpful for me as a coach, because I would start to separate them out. And then you kind of moved into the sexy gypsy king one, and that had a lot of different views that came with it. So that was a really helpful takeaway. I think the only thing I do differently, and I like to do this with clients, I step into the negative viewpoint, because it usually feels pretty crappy. And in my experience, you get this big resonating like, no, I don't want that anymore. And to kind of feel that, it resonates like a bigger no, like I'm choosing, I do not want that. I'm not choosing that viewpoint. And experiencing, something that's opposite from the positive one, I think can, in my experience, kind of reinforce the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every client that I do this pathway with is different. And sometimes there's like a couple of disempowering viewpoints that we really get into. And sometimes it just goes, so play with it. The other thing that I would actually say, based on your first comment, I really think kind of every aspect, every pathway of coaching, I really try to think about what is the presenting, deeper, and transformational agenda. So if I think of that of the viewpoint, I also think of that when somebody is in a protector part in embracing the shadow. Like, what is the transformational piece there? And the more like a little world that the client can create around a viewpoint or a protector, the more that just kind of comes up, wisdom of the body comes up, intuition, energy. It just gives you more to play with. And then when they move forward and they choose that, and they can really feel like, okay, I know what this viewpoint is about. And you can either do that in the beginning when you first come up, or you can do it once they choose the fresh viewpoint and then really sit there for a while. Like, okay, we did a little bit of it. Let's really expand it. Let's create this world of abundance and what that's like. So thank you, Meredith. Let's get Susan and then Jillian, and then we'll kind of move to close. So Susan.
Yeah, I just really liked how much you were yourself and how much you were willing to be yourself. And I was just thinking how much each of us as a coach has to factor that in, how much we're willing to be ourselves with our clients. What I loved was how many viewpoints you explored and how closely you stuck to her energy and reflecting back to her where her energy was and what her body language was saying. But I think one thing that I might do differently is that there were times when I felt that you were steering her away from what might be considered disempowering viewpoints. She was experiencing, in the midst of a positive viewpoint, a sense of loss. And I felt that you could have let her stay in that a little bit longer, so that she could have moved through it a little better, rather than, because I felt there was perhaps a little bit of judgment around, empowering versus disempowering that you were bringing to the session as a coach. But you committed fully to what you were doing, and it worked fine. And
Yeah,
that's a
so,
lesson as well, you know.
so to pull back the curtain on what was going on in my head is like, I know I have 40 minutes here. If I had a longer session and I wasn't trying to record for how many other people are going to see this, I would actually probably have pulled that aside and maybe done a little bit of even voice work with that, or kind of blended a kind of embracing the shadow piece with that. But I was like, okay, I can go that, and I can that. My weakness as a coach is when parts come up, I just go with that pathway. I love that pathway. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't get out of it. But yes, so this is another example of how pathways can blend back and forth. So thank you for noticing that, Susan. And let's go to Jillian, and then we'll move. So Jillian, your mic is open.
Hi. So you kind of answered my question because I was going in that exact space around parts, but I want to start just by saying thank you to you both. And Nancy, it's always so brave to step into this with all these people watching you. So for you, I mean, I'm holding that. That was amazing. And always reminded of when a client is really into it. And I think you were saying this is like, or Meredith, I'm not sure, ready to really be there and be themselves, how incredible that is for a coach to be able to work with that. So you were amazing. A couple of things I just want to say, I learned really great techniques. There were a lot. I love, Damon, when you asked her, what would your theme song be in this viewpoint? I just thought that was fantastic. So evocative and great. I love that. And also about the transitioning between viewpoints. I recognize I don't allow enough space for that. To shake it off, how do you want to get out of it, and then really be able to step into the other one. So thank you for that. Amazing. Mm-hmm. And the question that I wanted to bring up was exactly that. So if you were working with a client for a while, right, you see when parts start to come up. And my inclination also is to just sometimes get way off track and just go there. And I don't know, suggestions from you about how you kind of navigate that balance. I mean, I do it my own way, but I'm really curious, or anybody, sort of what's your criteria? Like, how do you play with that?
So, you know, when I'm teaching a cohort, what I really want to do is try to hold a pathway as purely as I can so they can actually see what that pathway is. And I tell them, after you graduate, you can do whatever the heck you want, right? And what I tend to do is I tend to blend a lot. And it's almost like, I think of a pathway. Actually, we just did this. If anybody's familiar with Los Angeles, we talked about pathways as terms of freeways. So there's the 405, the 10, the 110, the 101, and each one is a pathway that you can use to get to your coaching goal, your location. And sometimes you see, okay, I'm on this experience in the, envisioning the future, and then there's a piece of fear comes off. So then I take the fear off ramp that connects to the embracing the shadow, see what needs to be said there, stay there longer if I need to, and then potentially go back on. So to me, it's really like flowing with energy, and really the invitation to everyone here is, how do you be as facile and easy with each pathway so that when the moment comes up, you can step into it. I also do firmly believe, and this is what I also say too, you want to be able to stay in a pathway for some time, because if you're there, it's easier to get deeper in one pathway. And then once you stay in there, 10 minutes or so, then you're like, okay, we're at a sufficient depth that we can kind of branch off.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Cool. So we're almost out of time. So what I want to just do is just to end here is to think about what was your disempowering view that you came with at the beginning of the call. And I want to invite you to then think about what the neutral topic of that disempowering view would be. So you can just write that down. And once you have that, the invitation is to think about what is a fresh viewpoint that you will want to experiment in relation to that topic for the next coming week. So disempowering viewpoint that you had at the beginning, pull out the neutral topic, and then pick a fresh viewpoint that you want to experiment with this coming week. And I just want to hear from a couple people about that before we say adieu. So if you want to share those three with the group, I invite you to raise your hand. So the interesting thing about this is clearly if someone coaches you, they can see things that you don't normally see. And as coaches, we can do a lot of self-coaching. So when we think about when we're stuck in a particular viewpoint about a person, a situation, a job, etc., we can just draw this little chart. What is my neutral topic? What's my current viewpoint? And what are expansive ones? What are other ones that are disempowering? And you can kind of say, oh, if I approach this meeting with my boss about my raise from an abundance viewpoint, how would that be different from one that is, you know, around, you know, a full cultural expression viewpoint, or however it is. This is a way that we can actually coach ourselves. So looking for one or two people who will want to share their viewpoints. I'm really good at the skill of holding silence. I'm just saying. It's a coaching skill. I love it. Nancy.
So I think.
What say you?
Well, so I was following what you were just saying, and another perspective came to me just about the notion that I think I've been stuck in wait until somebody finds me mode. Wait, somebody will find you. Wait, somebody will find you. And what I wrote down is just like, I don't have to wait. I can go. I can, again, go out in the world and be the active one rather than the passive one waiting for however many years for something to happen. So it keeps unfolding all of the gifts. So thank you.
So Nancy, the fitting to end the call with you. And the thing that's striking me right now is that you don't even in a positive viewpoint, I mean, particularly for coaches, you know, clients, you might want to have them anchor one, but with positive viewpoints, you can switch back and forth given the situation. So you can try on this one for a day, you can try on another one for another day. So I invite you after this Sunday for you to figure out what other viewpoints you want to try on and feel which one is the best fit for you. Cool.
Yeah, that feels really good because I said I want to open the doors and windows, and I felt like even when we didn't write down the first one or two things maybe that I had said, actually that was freeing because then none of it was so important. Like we could just come up with other ones. So it was like gave us permission to just keep popping up these new perspectives, even to the point where I just got another one now. So I love that. That was a big takeaway for me.
Awesome. Cool. So thank you again, Nancy, for playing in the the sandbox. And thank all of you too for joining us. I look forward to our paths crossing. It was a pleasure. And bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Damon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.